Hey, so I'm going to break down the special exams outside of lecture exams, block exams that you're going to have in term 2. So I'm going to talk about OCEX, lab, and BSCE. So the OCEX, I found that it was relatively easy compared to term 1. More because I knew what to expect. They want fine detail. You need to know fine detail. Okay. They want very specific things like dermatomes. What is the arc that you're swinging the reflex hammer? What is is it the diaphragm or the, belt? Just little details. It's not hard. It's just little details. I think there was like 4 or 5 labs that you need to go over. What was nice is a lot of that material is the same stuff you learned in lecture. So it wasn't like a tremendous amount of studying. I felt like if you just go through that stuff in depth, like at least a week before the exam, you could totally ace it. That's for me. I mean, I was acing the block exams, so it wasn't a huge transition. If you struggled in a block exam with some of the understanding, then yeah, you might have to take a little bit more time. But if you felt like you did well on that block, a week was perfect. A week was perfect to go through everything in that packet. Okay. The lab exam, same thing. There's so few labs in term 2 compared to term 1 that you should ace this exam. Most people in my class did. I felt like it was not as crazy challenging as term 1, but maybe because I prepared, but I killed it. I almost got 100%. I missed like 1 point. As long as you understood the concepts from that block that the lab is from, then you should be able to get it. They ask developmental questions. They ask, they point to something, what's this? But it wasn't that complicated. I got confused on one question, and it was just a weird one. So, they're pretty easy. You should be able to ace them and only need like about a week to study. Any more, I don't think was necessary. Or if you did want to do more, then that's great because some of the topics kind of lead into BSCE. So let's talk about BSCE. It's a cumulative exam for the entire year of St. George. It was not as bad as I thought. A lot of the questions were just kind of general. I mean, they weren't as nitty-gritty, fine detailed as I thought they would be. So I feel like if you just go through all the practice questions from the previous term, and that you do well in term 2, then you should do fine. I feel like if you want to do well in BSCE, do well in term 2. That's it. Because half the exam, or maybe a little more, is the stuff you've just learned. And so you have the best chance to kill that exam if you do well in those blocks. You don't have to study that hard. All I did for term 1 stuff, because I did relatively well, is I just did questions. I felt like the questions were like the base of how I would go through studying. I would just go through a question. If I didn't understand the question, or if I didn't understand the answer, or if I didn't recognize the other wrong answers, I just Google them. Or, maybe go back to the notes of, or like the lecture slides for that topic. But for the most part, I just Google it. And just Googling it would be like, oh yeah, that's right. And it comes back so quick. If you did really poorly on any block, like say if you got a C, or if you failed it, you really should hit that stuff first. Probably should. It is cumulative. It definitely hits everything. They hit a little bit of everything. But I did feel like there was a lot of neuro on the second block. Not to say that you're going to have that in your exam, but that's how ours was. And what was nice is we had just covered that, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. Okay. So those are those exams. I know I'm kind of rushing through them. They're not as horrible. I thought like the block exams were way, way, way harder and way more fine detailed. These things, if you study like BSCE, you might need to study, they say 6 weeks. 6 weeks I think was a good idea. If you're a good student, if you had struggled in the past, then yeah, it might be a smart idea to start studying early. But, you know, for me, I want to make sure that I killed the block exams. And by killing the block exams, I was really studying for the BSCE at the same time, you know, because that same material is going to show up. So, you know, just kill your block exams, and then 6 weeks questions. That's what I did. So, hope that helped. I know that's a lot of ranting, but you guys got it. You know, it's totally doable. It's a lot of stuff. Seems scary, but you can do it. Okay? All right. Now go kick some booty.